Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It is the day that the Lord has made. We are choosing to rejoice and to be glad in it. I am Angela Thornton. This is Wise Word Ministries. I appreciate you all. As you know, hello to those who are watching the replay and for those who hopped on the replay. And you saw that I abruptly had to leave. I'll wait till a few more people get on so I don't have to repeat it too many times. That all it is, well, we got a few appointments we need to keep, but all is well. Thank you all for the prayers, the text messages, the inboxes. Um, he is much better. Thank you. He said when he woke up yesterday that his eye was exceptionally red, like bloodshot deep red, and then his vision was blurry. And then he said he got very dizzy, and then when he started to walk, everything started spinning. So if you were on here yesterday, you know he came over just as I was starting and said, I think you need to take me to the ER. And me in my brain said, huh? He said, I think I need to go to you and you take my ER. I said, when? He said, right now. And he was holding on to the banister, and I was like, okay, I gotta go. Bless God, when we got there, there were only two people in the ER. So they saw him within 15 minutes or less. Um, but we were there for 5.5 hours because they ran every test known to humankind. And they determined that he did not have a stroke. As they said, we have tested for anything that would kill you today or tomorrow. But they did. And just before we left, they said, you know what? We want to test your eye pressure. And his eye pressure was 30 or 32, which is high, very high. His eye pressure was 32. And I'm getting there. I'm still coughing, but I'm getting there. So they recommended that he see an ophthalmologist, but as the Lord would have it, he saw an ophthalmologist last Friday, two Fridays ago. And so the ER doctor called the ophthalmologist, which is amazing to me that the ER doctor would call the ophthalmologist, and they chatted. And then the ophthalmologist said, I need him to come see me today, no later than tomorrow. So we left the hospital. Now, the hospital is about 15 miles from my house. And then we drove to the ophthalmologist, which is 20 miles in the other direction. And he left the hospital with a prescription. They diagnosed him with vertigo, by the way. And then with the prescription for that, and with a referral to see to a neurologist. And then, but God is good, because by the time he got to the ophthalmologist, his eye pressure was 20. Had gone down from 32 to 20. But he still has to see a cardiologist and an ophthalmologist. But I don't know what kind of meds they gave him. But that joker was hyped. Hey, I was like, I need you to sit down on this hospital bed. Sit down on this here hospital bed, sir. Lay down. That's why you in the ER. Oh, I'm good. All is well. How you doing, my man? I need you to bring it down and sit down. But he is snoring comfortably right now. So it was an eventful day. But we will make those other appointments. And it's good to have people that because my husband makes friends everywhere. The ER doctor forgot to call in the prescription, and I knew that she had. And he kept saying, no, I said, she forgot. So he called someone at the hospital that he knew who was able to pull his chart and see that the prescription had not been called in. And then called the ER doctor while we were on the phone. And she said, oh my goodness, I forgot. He was definitely being the mayor. I forgot. And sent it in immediately while we were on the phone listening to the person that he knew. And she said, yeah, because that's my family. So, because he makes friends with everybody. He, yeah. So, yeah. But he is snoring comfortably. So, I'm tired. But it's all good. And praise the Lord, I was able to sleep through most of the night without feeling like I was coughing up all my innards. But anyway, thank y'all for praying and for checking. Yeah. I don't spend as much time in the ER. It seems like when I go to the hospital, it just be for a surgery or something serious. This joker go. Listen, the people brought him sandwiches, because he kept saying, well, when can I eat something? Well, when the doctor says so. And as we were leaving, they brought him 2 sandwiches and an apple juice and a ginger ale. What is this? But, yeah. But anyhow, that was our day yesterday. So we are thanking God that, whatever it is already dealt with. So we are, like I said, we will make those other 2 appointments because we knew someone else at the hospital and they are recommending who the best cardiologists and neurologists are on staff. And of course, my brother has a friend in Orlando who is an internationally renowned cardiologist. So he is asking him who he recommends in DC. Just got to check a few more things, but it is well. So back to what we were trying to do yesterday. Hey, cousin. Back to what we were attempting to do yesterday before we were interrupted with the good Mr. Thornton's emergency. God is faithful. God is indeed faithful. Daniel chapter 2 deals with King Nebuchadnezzar's dream. Baby, let me tell you something. Husband is covering all of his bases. Do you hear me? It deals with the king's dream. And it wasn't that the king didn't have dreams before. It is in this instance when he called the wise men, the magicians, the conjurers, the sorcerers, and the Chaldeans. He did something that he had not done previously. He had always asked them to interpret the dream. But what he had done previously was told them what the dream was and then asked them the meaning of the dream. But this time, this was a recurring dream. He had had it more than once. And when he called them, he summoned them up. He said, I want you to tell me what it means. And they say, okay, well, what is the dream? And he said, no. I need you to tell me what the dream was and what the dream means. And they were like, King. So he says to them, if you can tell me what it was and interpret it, what it means, I got some gifts and rewards and great honor. So declare to me what the dream is, what the dream means. And they kept insisting, no, king, you have to tell us what it means, what it is. You tell us what it is, and we'll tell you what it means. We can interpret it if you just tell me what the dream is. I can't tell you what you dream and then tell you what the dream that you dreamt meant if you don't tell me what you dreamed. And he kept insisting, if you are who you say you are, if you got all this power, you can do conjure up stuff, you can do magic and all of this, then tell me what I dreamt and then interpret it. And he said to them, if you can't do that, I'm going to cut you to pieces and burn down everything you got. Because clearly you about to be false. You the false seer, prophet, all that. You the false clairvoyant, all of that. And they, of course, went back and forth. And he said, quit stalling for time. Here's something about all these modern day prophets. If you got to tell them the information, because the king said, let me tell you something. You need to tell me what I dreamt and tell me what it meant, what I dreamt, what that meant. And the king felt that the only way he could trust what they were saying is if they told him what he dreamt. Because apparently whatever this was he dreamt more than once was quite disturbing. And he thought they were wicked. We will be praying for her. March 6th is her bone marrow transplant. All right. They said, what you asking is unreasonable. It's unreasonable. That's like, y'all remember those psychic lines you had to call into, but you had to tell them information. You go to the palm reader, you got to, so what is your name? Who are you here about? I came to see about my husband. And what is his name? Where is he? Well, I got to tell you all that. What I'm in here for? And so the wise men finally, in verses 12 through 13, they finally just came out and said, listen, we can't do that. We are unable to satisfy this demand. We cannot tell you what you dreamt and then tell you what it means. You have to at least tell us what the dream was. Now, in my mind, that's not an unreasonable thing. You want me to tell you what you're thinking and then tell you what you think it means? Come on, king. And so the king said, issue an order of execution. We just gonna kill all of you. Ain't none of you worth nothing. You've been lying. And here's what he did. This is how angry he got. Hey, Daisy, good morning, kitty. He didn't just say, thank you, Etta. If God, he is better. He is better, Daisy. If God wants you to know something, he'll reveal it to you. Even in prayer. Thank you. He'll reveal it to people who had never seen you. He said, the king said, not only am I going to execute you all, I'm going to execute everybody who claims to be able to reveal the future. He said, all y'all that claim to reveal the future, all of you gonna die. I was like, what? That's like your mama whooping you when you didn't do nothing, and it was your brother or your sister. You like, wait, how I get in this? I didn't do nothing. And so since Daniel and his three friends were considered wise men, that judgment fell to them. But oh, baby, when the Lord is with you, Daniel did not know what had happened with these wise men, the conjurers, the magician, the Chaldeans, the soothsayer, the dream interpreters. Daniel knew nothing about that. He wasn't there. He didn't know. So Daniel went to the king. He said, listen, can you hold up on these executions for just a little while and give me an opportunity to interpret this dream? Now, this was bold because the king had already determined that he was going to kill everything that looked like it said it could tell the future, everything and everybody. But Daniel said, listen, can you give me an opportunity? And when the favor of the Lord and the hand of the Lord and the purpose of the Lord is with you, you will get the favor of the king. Because the king honored his requests. The king honored his request. So by the time you get to 17 and 18, verses 17 through 30, the secret is revealed to Daniel. Daniel went to their house and he told Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, also known as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He said, listen, we need to pray. And they requested compassion from the Lord. So before you start all this here prophesying, you need to pray. You need to pray. That's right, Kitty. You need to pray. And they prayed from the God of heaven concerning this mystery so that they wouldn't be destroyed. They were like, God, listen, I don't know. In my own flesh, I don't know nothing about what this man dreamed. But you do, because you know all things and nothing is hidden from you. You're the God of all flesh. And we're not trying to be destroyed with the rest of these lying wonders. Can you reveal to us the king's dream and the meaning thereof? Here's the thing. Whenever you're going to do something, include prayer. Be sure you pray about it first. Get the Lord's direction. Get the Holy Spirit's guidance. Get his answer. Is now the time or not? Daniel understood that God was with him. So he did something that was out of the ordinary in that he went to the king and said, can you hold up 1 minute on this here killing? Can you hold up 1 minute on this execution and give me an opportunity? Because we don't have nothing to do with this. And our God is real. Our God is true. Our God knows all things. You don't have to tell us what you dreamed. And it says, then, after they prayed, then the mystery, the dream, was revealed to Daniel in a night vision. And then it says, then Daniel blessed the God of heaven. And he said, let the name of God be blessed, for wisdom and power belong to him. Wisdom and power belong to God. James says, let anyone who lacks wisdom ask, and he'll give it to you liberally and without rebuke. Wisdom and power belong to God. The soothsayers and the magicians and the conjurers and all of those people relied on their own wisdom. So they needed a little help. You need to tell us what you did dream, and then we'll make up something and tell you about what it meant. See what I'm saying? He says, It is he who changes the times and the epochs. You remove kings and you give wisdom to wise men and knowledge to men of understanding. God, it's you who reveals profound and hidden things. It's you who knows what's in the darkness, and the light dwells. To you, God of my fathers, I give thanks and praise. For you have given me wisdom and power. Even now, you have made known to me what we requested of you. Daniel was so confident. He said, listen, God, I know that even right now, you've already made known to me what it is we requested of you. We trust you. He said, because you told us what the king wanted. And thus Daniel goes to the king. And not only does he interpret what the dream meant, he told the king what the dream was. He goes back to the king. He goes to the man that the king had appointed to destroy everybody. He's like, listen, Mr. Arioch, can you tell the king that I now know what? Can you? To the man's credit, he took Daniel to the king. When the favor of God is with you, when you walk and you believe that I am an ambassador of God, and that what I am doing with the help of the Lord. I am doing at the request and the guidance, the purpose and the destiny of God. You are spared from what others may suffer. The man took him to the king. And the king says to Daniel, can you tell me what I dreamt and what it means? I'm just here to tell you now, if you can't, you about to. Daniel says to the king, he tells him, he says, listen, as for the mystery that you required, that none of your wise men, conjurers, musicians, or your diviners, your soothsayers were able to declare. First of all, he's shady. I can tell you what they couldn't tell you. I can tell you what none of them couldn't tell you. None of them. As for all of them people you had, I can tell you what they couldn't. Daniel said, listen, there is a God in heaven who reveals mysteries, and clearly they are not connected to him like I am. So let me just go on and tell you. God has made known what's going to take place in the latter days. And Daniel says, this was your dream. While you were on your bed, your thoughts turned to what would take place in the future. And he who reveals mysteries has made known to you what's going to happen. He said, but the mystery hasn't been revealed to me, any wisdom residing in me. It's not because I'm wise. He tells the king what the dream was, and he describes the head of the statue and all of that, and the legs of iron. And he said, you continue looking until the stone was cut without hands, and then the iron. And Daniel says, this was the dream. So now let me tell you what that meant. Don't sound like it was good. He says, you are king of the kings to whom the God of heaven has given the kingdom. Let me tell you something, Mr. King. You are only king because the God of heaven has given you the kingdom. You are not king because you are almighty. You are not king because you are omnipotent and all powerful and all knowing. Clearly, you are not omnipresent. Clearly, you are not omniscient because you don't know everything, because you was asking other people to tell you what the thing that your dream meant. So I serve the God who gave you the kingdom, so you are not all powerful. So let's just start right there. You are King of kings to whom the God of heaven has given the kingdom, the power, and the strength. You are here because God allowed it, even though you are wicked. And he says, and wherever the sons of men dwell, in the beasts and all of that, the Lord is given in your hands. And he says to him, after you, there will arise another kingdom inferior to you. And then a third kingdom that's going to rule over all the earth. And then there's going to be a fourth kingdom. So he tells the king all of these things. And then he says, in those days, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that's never going to be destroyed. And that kingdom will not be left to another people. Can you imagine knowing that your life is on the line? And you got to tell this man what he dreamed and what it means. And the dream was basically simple. The king saw a big old statue. It was large. It was awesome looking. And it made the king look insignificant. It was so large. And it was dazzling. It was gold, and it was silver, and it was bronze, and it was iron. And it wasn't a bad, hard dream, but the statue wasn't permanent. My. It was struck on the feet by a rock and reduced to nothing. All of these people running around here thinking that they're bold and they're big and they're mighty. It's not permanent. It's not permanent. It is not permanent. Because it said it ain't permanent. And then it was blown away. And so what's the interpretation of the dream? Nebuchadnezzar saw himself as a leader of the world. He saw himself ruling the world. And so the second portion of the statue represented the rise of the Medes and the Persians who came after Babylon, and they ruled longer than this new. And then you had the belly and the thighs. That was the third kingdom. That was the Greeks, the Grecian, and then simply for an appointed time. And so what the dream basically, the interpretation is, you're not going to be here always. So do not get yourself up in a bunch and knot it up because you see, well, Lord, how long is they going to rule? Lord, how long you going to let them do evil? It is all temporal. It is all temporal. Because remember, God gave man dominion over the earth and over its creatures. And so Nebuchadnezzar was who he was by divine appointment. And you remember, Daniel served through Nebuchadnezzar, and he served through Cyrus. He served through a couple of kings. So Daniel saw the fall of Babylon. He saw the Medo-Persians. He saw the Greeks, the Grecian Empire. He saw the Roman Empire. He saw all of that. And so he told him what he dreamed. And then in the last part of chapter 2, here's the part that gets me. Daniel had validated. Yet this here trouble gonna pass. Trouble don't last always, as they say. Trouble don't last always. Daniel had validated the interpretation of the dream by being able to even say what the dream was. And so now the king saw this young boy as trustworthy. And that this dream had come from the God of this young boy, the Hebrew, the God who held the destiny of all of the nations in the earth in his own power. Only God can tell you what's going to really happen in the future. The rest of these folks are guessing. And all the time, it's not even an educated guess. I see. And so the king was so moved by Daniel's ability not only to interpret the dream, but to tell him what he dreamed and to interpret it accurately, that the king prostrated himself before the one that he was held in captive. I am in captivity physically, but here is the king prostrating himself before the one whom he took and is holding captive. And he ordered that an offering be made to Daniel. Something that was only done to the gods of Babylon. Do you understand how profound that is? I enslaved you. I am holding you captive. You are in captivity. I destroyed your nation and I took you, and you are in captivity. But I am now laying prostrate before the one I'm holding captive and demanding that an honor be given to you that is only given to the gods that we serve. You can't tell me there ain't a God in heaven. Thank you. To the point where Nebuchadnezzar ends up saying that the God you serve is superior to all the gods of Babylon. The king says, surely your God is a God of gods and a Lord of kings and a revealer of mysteries, since you have been able to reveal this mystery. Yes, but I am what God says I am. Thank you. No matter what. Oh, my body might be enslaved. My body might be in prison. I might be in captivity, but that does not make my mind and my spirit captive. That does not make me any less of what God has said I am. And while I might be in jail, I am not imprisoned in my mind, and the Lord will still use me, because in captivity, he used a teenage boy to do something so profound that the one who captivated him, the one who stole him, the one who is imprisoning him, lay prostrate before him, then paid him, and then said, the God you serve is far superior than any of these gods we got around here in Babylon. We done erected statues. We got multiple gods, and you got one, and he is superior to all of them. God is, as the king says, a revealer of mysteries. And Nebuchadnezzar accepted what Daniel said. Basically, bro, you ain't gonna be here always. This right here is temporary. Well, Babylon not gonna be big and bad always. This temporary. Not only did he accept his temporary kingdom, he recognized the authority given to Daniel by God. He recognized God's power. He recognized Daniel's authority. And so, much like Pharaoh did with Joseph, he appointed Daniel to a position of responsibility in the government and gave him a whole bunch of material stuff, gifts. Daniel became leader of a satrap, one of the provinces of Babylon. Daniel was made the leader over the province where the court was, where the king resided. And Daniel didn't forget his friends. He said, listen, you know I ain't do this by myself. I had my friends, Mishael, Hananiah, Azariah, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. They was with me. They was praying with me. We went to the Lord together. So since you promote me, can you promote them? King said yes. And they served under Daniel. Thank you, Mr. Levette. I appreciate that. In the same province, and they all were in the royal court. God elevated Daniel even in captivity so that he could be a mediator. Look how God works. Just like when Joseph got to Egypt and ended up in Miss Potiphar's house, and she lied and he went to jail, and then Pharaoh had a dream and Joseph interpreted the dream. And next thing you know, Joseph is over all of Egypt. So when the famine comes and his family is hungry some many years later, now that Joseph is a grown man with a wife and children, Joseph could help his family because God knows the beginning of a thing from the end of a thing. And God knows what we don't know because only God knows the future. He set another teenage boy in captivity, this time in Babylon. Another teenage boy interpreted the dream of a king. This time, Nebuchadnezzar was a king, not a pharaoh. Different land, Babylon. Why? Because years later, decades later, because God knows the future, that same boy who was now an old man, because he was there all 70 years, was now the mediator between the king and the exiles from Judah. Between the king and the exiles from Judah, who was going to be coming to Babylon shortly and was going to need, somebody. God used that same man to be a mediator. So when that second group came and that third group came, they would be treated well. He was a mediator between the king and the exiles. Do you understand how God moves? Everything bad that happens to you ain't happened because of the devil. Everything bad that happens to you was not bad for you. Going into captivity was bad. But while he was being captive, God used him for his glory and elevated him. And what Daniel had was the ability to believe in God so much that he would ask for things that other people wouldn't. He said, look, listen, let me ask y'all something. Can we not eat this food? If you just let us go for 10 days with vegetables, I promise you we're going to come out healthier than y'all eating all of this rich food over here from the king. They honored it. This is a teenage boy in captivity. The king says, I'm going to kill everybody that can tell the future. Daniel said, hold up. Can you just give me an opportunity to tell you what you dreamed and to interpret it? Can you give me the opportunity to go to my God? Can you do that? Can you give me the opportunity? I know you want to kill everybody, but can I have this opportunity first? He said, listen. It says Daniel replied with discretion and discernment. He understood how to say it, when to say it, and to whom to say it. He said, listen, Mr. Ariel, why this so urgent? Why this so urgent? And then Mr. Ariel told him, because King gonna kill all y'all. He said, hold up. Daniel went to the king and said, can you give me a little time so that I can declare this interpretation? Can you give me a little time? Just a little time. And the king said, yes. When you know in whom you have belief, and when you trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your all understanding. Daniel didn't get afraid. He didn't go back and say, Lord, they're going to kill us all. He said, hey, hold up. Can you give me some time? Now, clearly they trusted him enough that they gave him the time, because that's how the Lord had decreed it. And what Daniel did was so awesome. And what he did, no one had been able to do. Let me tell you something. When the Lord has a plan, it's coming to pass. I don't care what happened in the middle. When the Lord got a plan, it wasn't Daniel's time to die, so he wasn't going to die. You got to be bold and know in whom you have belief in whom you trust. And trust and do what the Lord said. Not what other people want, but what did God say? Go read chapter 2. It's interesting. Because that young man trusted in and believed in the Lord. Oh, let me read this here devotional for today. And don't forget, tomorrow is our communion. It doesn't matter where you are now, whether you are in a physical prison or physically captive, or everything seems to be going wrong. None of that can stop what the Lord has determined for you. None of that has any bearing, on the gifts, the calling, the favor, the grace, the mercy of God in your life. None of that changes that you are who God has determined that you are. You simply need to believe it. Daniel was certain of it. And so he operated like that. We can't eat your food. Can we eat vegetables? I'll prove to you. To the point where the person who held you captive prostrated themselves before you, the one who was in prison, and said, the God you serve is far superior than any we got. Let me elevate you, even in your imprisonment. You can't tell me God not good. He'll use you wherever you are, right where you are. He used Joseph in Egypt. He used Daniel in Babylon. So don't let where you are cause you to believe that God is not there too. What's today's date? Oh, the 20th. Oh, Lord. Here we go. Our devotional reading for today. Go forward. Woo. No more looking back for you. Put your hand to the plow. Move your feet and go forward. I know you and I know your past. God knows you and he knows your past. Listen to me. Listen to me lead your heart's desire. With me, you will never lose ground or territory. Go forward, go forward, go forward. Hear my trumpet and learn what it means. I have volumes of books with secrets to reveal to you. Your prayers are heard, your promises fulfilled, your mind persuaded, your power released, and your praise will light up heaven. Woo-wee. Praise at all hours and in all moments and circumstances. I keep you from deceivers and con men. I preserve you and keep you from falling. Just do one thing for me. Go forward, only forward. Lay aside the back-breaking burdens and overwhelming weights. Lay aside the distractions of your past pleasures. Forget yesterday's ghost. Turn your back on every temptation and I will make your crown glorious. I am making you without a reverse in your engine. Baby, you don't have a reverse. Woo. Do not look back, for your destiny lies ahead of you. Now stand up and move forward, always and forever forward. Daniel looked forward, even in captivity. God is faithful. I will see you all in the morning. Be blessed and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you all again for your prayers and your texts and your calls and your checking in on the husbandman, he to whom I'm wed. We got some more appointments to make, but the Lord is good. I'll see y'all in the morning. And don't forget, it's Communion Wednesday. Bye-bye.